So we're continuing with the Chapter 4 test review for Algebra 2, starting at the top of page 3. The directions for number 17 were on the previous page. It says, state if the two triangles are congruent. If they are, state how you know. All right, so I'm seeing a box on this one and a little box on this one. That means they're both 90 degrees, so we've got an angle and an angle. Over here I've got an angle, and over here I've got an angle. And angle and angle. So are triangles congruent by angle, angle, angle? No, they are not. So you say not congruent. Number 18, I see an X right here, which is vertical angles. And vertical angles are congruent. So if this is 90, this is 90. So we've got angle, angle. And then over here I've got a double tick, so a side with a double tick side, and a triple tick and a triple tick. So side, side. So that would give us angle, side, side. Angle, side, side spells bad word. So it is not congruent, but these are right triangles. So do we have a hypotenuse leg? Here's our hypotenuse and our hypotenuse. Here's our leg, and here's our leg. So these two are congruent by hypotenuse leg. Jumping down to 19 through 24, the directions say solve for the value of x. So right away I see these two angles right here that are marked congruent. If the two angles are congruent, the converse of the isosceles triangle theorem says that the two sides are also congruent, that are opposite them. So we're going to say that x plus 16 equals 10. We're going to subtract 16 from both sides, and we get x equals negative 6. Same thing from number 20. These two angles are congruent, so the two sides opposite them are congruent. So we put an equal sign in between them. And we have negative 4 plus x equals 6. Add 4 to both sides. We get x equals 10. Same thing with number 21. If these two angles are congruent, the sides opposite them are congruent, so we put an equal sign in between them. Subtract 3 from both sides, and we get x equals 6. Number 22, we have 3 angles congruent, which means all 3 sides are congruent, but we have these two sides marked, so let's put an equal sign in between them. Subtract 20 from both sides, and we get x equals negative 8. Number 23, we have these two sides marked congruent, which means the two base angles that are opposite them are congruent. So if this one's 52, then this one is also 52. We know that the total degrees in a triangle is 180. So if we start with 180, we subtract 52, we subtract 52, we get, what do we get? 180 minus 52, 76. That means angle 2 right here should be 76 degrees. So we need to set that equal to x plus 83. Subtract the 83 from both sides, and we get x equals negative 7. All right, jumping over to number 24. We've got this angle, okay, we've got these two sides marked congruent, so their base angles are going to be congruent, but first we need to figure out this angle right in here. We can figure it out because this makes a straight line. So if we start with 180, subtract the 106, that leaves us with 74. So this angle right here is 74. We subtract 74 from 180, we're going to get 106, divide that by 2, which means these are each 53. 53. So we take angle 2, which should be 5x minus 7 equals 53. We want to add the 7 to both sides. We get 5x equals 60. Divide both sides by 5, and we get x equals 12. All right, flip over to page 4. All right, so on here we've got an exterior angle of 142. So to get this interior angle right here, we're going to say 180 minus 142, which is 38. So that one's 38 degrees. And if this side and this side are marked congruent, then these two angles opposite them are congruent. So if that one's 38, this one's also 38. We want to start with the total degrees in a triangle, which is 180. Subtract the 38 twice. That gives us 104. And that's going to be our angle 2. So we're going to take 17x plus 2, set it equal to 104. Subtract 2 from both sides. Divide both sides by 17. And 102 divided by 17 is 6. All right, we've got this exterior angle. It's making a straight line with the interior angle, so we can subtract that from 180. That leaves us with 65 degrees right here. And if these two sides are marked congruent, then the angles opposite them are congruent. So 2 is also 65, which means we're going to take x plus 71, set it equal to 65. Subtract 71 from both sides, so x is equal to -6. Numbers 27 through 32 says find the measure of the angle indicated. So this exterior angle is equal to the sum of the two remote interior angles. So if we add these two together, it's going to be equal to that one. So we're going to set up an algebraic equation. So 5x plus 12 plus 4x minus 4 should be equal to 116. Then we're going to combine like terms on the left. So 5x and 4x is 9x. 12 minus 4 is 8. Subtract the 8. That is 108. Divide both sides by 9. We get x equals 12. And they want us to find angle G. So we got to plug that 12 back in there. So 5 times 12 plus 12. That should be 67 to 84. Oh, 72. I think that's right. Okay. Same thing with number 28. We've got this exterior angle, which should be equal to the sum of the two remote interior angles. So we're going to set up an equation with that. 17x plus 1 plus 29 should be equal to the 24x plus 2. So we've got 17x plus 30 equal to the 24x plus 2. I'm going to subtract 24x from both sides. Subtract 30, same step. So this should be negative 7x. These are opposites, these are opposites. This should be negative 28. Divide both sides by negative 7, so x is equal to 4. We need to plug that back in for angle F. So angle F was 17x plus 1. So 17 times 4 plus 1. 17 times 4 is 68, so 69 degrees. Jumping down to number 29. We just need the value of x. So if these two angles are marked congruent, the two sides opposite them are congruent, so we can just put an equal sign in between them. Subtract 1 from both sides, we get x equals 7. These two angles are marked congruent, so the sides opposite them are congruent, so we just put an equal sign in between them. Add 15 to both sides. Divide both sides by 2. And we get x equals 10. All right. The last two, number 31. These two sides are marked congruent, so the two angles opposite them should be congruent. We already know this one's 120, so we subtract that from 180. That means between these two angles, we would have 60. Divide that by 2, so 30 each. So we're going to take the 4x minus 6, set it equal to 30. add 6, divide by 4, so x should be equal to 9. And the last one, these two sides are marked congruent, so these two angles are congruent. So if this one's 35, this one's also 35, that means together they're 70. So 70 subtracted from 180, that means angle 2 should be 110. So 14x plus 12 equals 110. Subtract 12 from both sides, we get 14x equals 98. Divide both sides by 14, so x is equal to 7.